Hi everybody, Sandy here again. As you know, if you are following my YouTube videos, I produce a series of videos which I hope convey practical, useful information for the older walker, the senior walker like myself. So people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I also think if you're a first-time walker, you may find the information of value. Today I'm going to do something that I haven't seen before, and as it's a little bit of an experiment. I am going to answer a question that I've been getting quite a bit, which is how difficult is day one on the Camino Francis from Saint-Jean-Pierre-de-Port to Orisson, Orisson to Roncesvalles. And then I am going to read from my diary. And if people like the diary readings, then I'm going to do sort of maybe 30 days of readings that take you day by day through my walk. You might find it interesting. So if day one interests you, stay tuned. It's a big walk. It's a tough walk, and you have to make a number of decisions along the way. So the question before us is, how difficult is it? Well, of course, there's a lot of factors that go into that. How old are you? What shape are you in? What time of year are you walking? What are the weather conditions that day? How heavy is your pack? Are you walking all the way or just to Orisson? Lots of things to consider. So, I can't deal with every variable, but I'll give you my impression of it. So some straight facts. So first off, the walk to Orisson, which is really the only place to stop between Saint-Jean and Roncesvalles, is 8 kilometers, and it is a steep climb. It's probably the hardest climb of the total distance that day, which is around 24 kilometers. Walking up, and up. Come from over here. Can't even see where we came from. So you're really coming out of the gate with a tough uphill walk. You're also dealing with elevation. So I'm just looking at my notes here. The elevation is 1,250 meters, which is about 13,500 feet. So once again, you're going to be dealing with, a big uphill climb through the Pyrenees. So you have a decision. Do you stop at Orisson? Do you walk all the way? And when you're getting close to Roncesvalles, you also have another decision to make. When you're at the peak and you walk down, you can do the road, which is a little longer, and that's what, the office in Saint-Jean told us to do, or you can do the shorter, steeper climb down through the forest. We opted for the forest. Was it the right decision? Don't know, but it was steep. So overall, what's my take? Very doable. I did it in my 60s. We did it in May. We were in good shape. We did it in 8 hours, which included multiple rest breaks, water break, and food break. And we had good weather. Beautiful spring weather, sun was shining. We went back and forth, my wife and I, we went back and forth. Do we want to stay in Orisson? Do we want to go all the way? And, I think we both decided we want to go all the way. It's kind of a nut to crack. We wanted to get our confidence up. We wanted to know that we could do it. So it was hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was hard, but it was very doable. What were the keys to success? We got up early. We packed a good lunch because there's not much to get along the trail. We had water, and we were in shape, and we were fortunate we had good weather. So is it a tough day? On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it's a 7.5. Myself, I would highly, highly recommend going all the way. Now, again, if you're a senior, I know there can be knee problems, leg problems, arthritis problems, being in shape, being a little older. and no problem stopping at Orisson. You can get up, have a nice breakfast in Saint Jean, walk, chill at Orisson, have a nice meal, meet a bunch of pilgrims. And then the next day, because Orisson's only 8K, you've got 15, 16 kilometers to go. So you've cut it by a third. And that's a very viable option. So my recommendation, do it. Hope this helps. And so it begins. Can't really describe today. It was beautiful, terribly difficult, exhilarating, exhausting, fulfilling, and demanding. While we both expected a tough climb up the 24 kilometers, it was harder and steeper than we imagined, but the day was picture perfect. The weather perfect, couldn't imagine it if the conditions were harsh. So to describe, how do I describe the indescribable? Despite best intentions, I did not sleep well at all. I read and hit the light at 9 o'clock, 5 hours later, still awake. A little wired, a little excited. Unfortunately, you know when you're awake, but you don't know when you're asleep, so at some point I drifted off. Anyway, the alarm sounded, its tone waking me from a semi-slumber. The walls in the hotel are very thin, so the doors opening and closing, the toilet and the shower of the person next door not only broke my reverie, it left nothing to the imagination. Breakfast was great, and we met a few people. Richard, who's walking solo, Mary, Emma, and later Nick. We managed to get our bags dropped out of the door, and they were on our backs by 7:30. The place we were staying was away from the main gates, so I wanted to circle backwards because I really wanted to start from the front gate archway. The weather was quite cool, which was perfect, and I dressed in shorts, shirt, and a light sweater. I was screened up, sunscreen, being fair-skinned, and ready. As mentioned earlier, I can't really describe the day. The terrain's changed so much, and the walk was so demanding, it's hard to keep it straight. And I'm writing from the hotel in Roncesvalles, so hard to keep it straight. The walk to Orisson, 8 kilometers, is supposed to be steep, but that is one of the worst understatements I have ever read in a while. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes and you are on a pitch like a roof. Fortunately, the songbirds, ancient stone walls, cars, horses, roosters, and the incredibly shaded lane makes the climb bearable. After the initial steep ascent, the road, with cars, goes modestly up and down for another 2 kilometers. But with Orisson 5 to 5 kilometers ahead, the road takes a nasty turn up. Nasty. The hills are staggering. Pilgrims pull over repeatedly to discard heavy sweat-filled layers like strippers in a club. Even super modest Gabe, my wife, succumbs, peeling off her top in exchange for something cooler. The day, while starting at 9 degrees, quickly rises to 15 and the sun beats down, filling the valleys below with white nimbus clouds. It almost feels like we are above the earth in heaven. The steep, long hills continue until the 5 kilometer mark when we veer off the road onto a muddy side trail. The climb is so steep you have no idea how far you have to go. You can only see as far as the next turn cut into the mountain. Occasionally you look only to mentally reel back in shock as you see a small speck on the horizon, kilometers away, climbing their way higher and higher as they are walking on air. After another kilometer or two, the dirt trail marries itself to the road again and the climb continues. Gabe and I chat with a couple from Hong Kong, and before we know it, we have landed in Orisson. Mythical Orisson. Only 8 kilometers from Saint-Jean-Pierre-de-Port. No, sorry, only 16 kilometers from Saint-Jean-Pierre-de-Port. But a milestone of some significance. We arrived sweaty and smiling to a much-deserved rest. We lined up to use the private outhouse, but it was so hot, I hardly peed. The next section was very, very pretty. We climbed, but not as steeply, past cows and horses, grassland around us, but steep drop-offs, mountains in the distance. Soon we left the tree line and climbed up, zigzagging to the point where I thought the mist surely touched the clouds. This stretch, while barren of trees, delights us with spring wildflowers and the beautiful lichen-strewn rocks that lay scattered around us. A student named Sarah walks with us for a while, and she is from Iowa. Sweet but a little slow, and she soon confesses she needs to rest. We have now been climbing for 3.5 hours. So 3.5 hours and we're past Orisson going up. And then we come to the famous Madonna in the rocks. I walk closer and scale the rocks, but we have to wait a while a pilgrim prostrates at her feet in prayer. Some pictures, and on we go, up, ever up. At 4.5 hours mark, we come to a flat piece of mountainside. We stop for our first Camino picnic ever. I'm grateful because the cheese, baguette, apples, oranges, and energy bars weigh my pack down. We find a flat rock off the trail, peel off our shoes and socks, and eat a delicious lunch. We look out into the wild. It feels like we could touch the sky. We soon change our socks, repack, and continue our ascent. Everest, anyone? After about 30 minutes, we come to a point where the road ends and we must climb up a narrow, rock-strewn path between the boulders. Gabe is moving a little slower, but she is steady. We can see the path twisting and turning, but we can't see where it ends. After 20 minutes, we finally emerge on a path that flattens as it turns abruptly left. We continue for another 30 minutes and eventually find the last water station. The last water station, that's big. Until Roncesvalles, a good thing because I have been rationing my water. The path is muddy, tree-lined, and left and right, and soon we actually descend for the first time into a forest-lined path. It's so beautiful, but it's wet and mucky, and we must be careful to pick a path. 1 kilometer down, the mud gives way to a dry trail, but the beautiful trees still envelop us. We stroll perceptively down, marveling at the beauty, sharing a few laughs, and both of us wondering, how far? How far? Still a ways to go. The trail climbs again. This time, we cut through cliffs of slate, steep drop-offs on both sides, and this continues for what seems forever. We pass a pilgrim muttering to himself, pulling his pack on a cart behind him. I'd forgotten that. The climbing is hard as the path, like a road, is strewn with rocks, making the walking very hard, and we are constantly trying to find a trail among the rocks. But we are moving well, and our spirits are strong. After what seems like hours, probably because it is hours, and remember this is day 1, so we suddenly see a group of pilgrims huddled around a monument that signifies the peak. Now time to walk downhill. After much debate, a hiker convinces us to take the steeper, shorter route through the trees. The Camino office in Saint-Jean-Pierre-de-Port advised us against this and suggested the longer paved approach. But the trees beckon. I love trees, okay? I confess I love trees, so the trees beckon. Oh my goodness, the pitch is crazy. Gabe and I pull like mad. We have hiking poles. As we need to tread carefully. One misstep on a rock or a root and down you go, rolling, tumbling, cursing, and no doubt ending in pain and misery. The route through the forest is beautiful and shaded, but it seems to go on and on. We are careful because we are tired. No mistakes now. Several young people pass us, but eventually, and I do mean eventually, the trees end and we are disgorged into a wide, flat plain with a spectacular convent in front of us. We jump for joy. We hug each other. Then we cross over a brook that is crisp and swiftly moving and eventually find the hotel. It's a converted monastery. We booked in the monastery for the first night as a little treat after walking that day. And we have a great Spartan room. We stink. So we shower, wash our clothes in the sink, go for a walk, have a beer, and then head downstairs for dinner at 6:30. We arrived at 3:40. So it's not even 4 o'clock and we're there. We had a great meal. Gabe had fish and I had salad and vegetable stew, artichokes, peas, etc. Wine, dessert, bread for 19 euros. Anyway, tired of writing, so I will read just a little before bed. Tomorrow, 23K, downhill mostly to Zbiri. Should be beautiful, rain or shine. So that's day one. If you like hearing this, reading from my diary, just something I thought I would try, let me know, send me a message, give me a thumbs up, sign up, and let me know. And if so, I will start to continue to read from my diary. Thank you. Can't wait to start walking again. Buen Camino. Sandy signing out.